10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2.
Woo-wee! It is time. That's right. I should do that better. Wait. It's time for the Power Hour. Tuesday nights locked and loaded, ready to go. Slammin' Sam is here. It's the big go week. Like, if you're not ready, if you don't know what this means, sit down, strap in, put your seatbelts on. We're going to take you for another ride. The Power Hour, but I'm not alone. I come with a guy that wears glasses, known as Stevie Wonder, the Ray Charles, the man, the myth, the legend, my co-host, my partner, my brother from another mother, and I am talking about the Monday morning racer, Lee. Before we start, and before Stan gets in the comments, Lee.
There we go. And I had corrected that before we started the show, and it decided to, maybe that means we're supposed to be on that side, whether Stan likes it or not. Maybe.
Who knows? Lee.
Who knows?
Woo! Are you not like,
dude?
Are you not ready to go? Let's go.
Nationals, big go. Look, they already stacking. We're going to be yakking, all because they're going to be racing at the world's biggest drag race this week. It's not just a weekend; it's the week.
It's a week, week-long
racing. Man, looking forward to it. What a pinnacle moment I think it was last year.
No. Lee,
the U.S. Nationals even happened.
Lee, before you dive into that, if you are watching this, please like this and share this. We need everyone. This is a late night show. You can have a little cocktail. We have a little game when Lee, fumbles over his words and puts himself on mute. So everyone that's out there, please, Facebook, Instagram, wherever we're live at, and you're watching this, like it, share it, go fill up your cup, Red Solo cup, your glass, your martini glass, have a glass of wine. But yes, please like and share this. All right, Lee, you can go now. I give you permission.
All right. Man, how good is it that we're having 2021, the U.S. Nationals? But back to last year, we had the U.S. Nationals, and it was epic, and it was big, and it kind of broke the barriers, as it were, that year of having some more fans in the stands, looking back, and now looking forward. Man, I'm expecting that this U.S. Nationals will go down in the record books, and it will be recognized as one of the biggest, baddest, bestest, whatever est concerning the U.S. Nationals, the big go, NHRA drag racing.
Man, I'm excited, Lee. Like, I'm ready to go, but unfortunately, I'm not going. I kind of made other plans, have kind of other engagement. I don't know. There's no excuse. But I'm not going to be there. And as much as I want,
Scott gets it. Liked, shared, drink present. Boom.
Hey, you know what, Scott, for you, cheers, brother. Shout out Monster Energy. If you're watching this, hook us up with sponsorship. But like I said, man, it's weird because I'm doing these videos on my personal page, Outlaw Performance ENT, where I'm going and talking about what does the big go mean? Why should people be there? Why should the fans come out in masses and support this? It's because it's the biggest, the richest, the best drag race, the best event in our schedule. Like, it starts a whole nother, it's like, it starts the second half of racing, if that makes sense. This is fourth down. We're not punting. We're going for it. So I'm excited. Lee, what does the atmosphere like in your camp, in your area, your neck of the woods? What is it like for you?
Well, for me personally, Sam, Indy, I grew up watching VHS tapes of, 1987, 1988, 1989 Diamond P productions of the NHRA years, and I watched them over and over and over, and saw Bob Glidden win at Indy, and they played Indy up so much, and all of the history and everything that's happening there. And I always wanted to go to Indy, and I wanted to, and I hope to eventually one day actually do some drag racing at Indy myself. But it was not until 2 years ago that I got to Indy, and I don't like to think of myself as very emotional, but I got to the stand, I got to the track. I saw the Blaine Johnson Memorial that they've got toward the end of the track. I barely could not hold it together seeing that. I didn't realize that it was there. I should have known. And I get to the stands. I look out. And mind you, nobody knows who I am. They don't know Monday Morning Racer. Not doing anything like this. Just trying to make it and do something. And I'm in the stands looking over everything. And I cried a little bit. I'm like, I'm finally at Indy. That is what the place is like. It's moving. It's moving, and it should be. It is the biggest drag race in the world, and we should recognize it as such. Man, it is going to be a good time. I'm looking forward to it. I wish you were going to be there, but as you said, you're not, so I will have to take it all in for you and for me for the Competition Plus Power Hour.
I just want to state this. Fargo, North Dakota is in the house. 4 hours from where I'm sitting at right now. So, Jim, we need to link up some way, somehow. I'm in Minot. So, but unfortunately, Lee, like I said, I will be wheeling a circle track car for the first time in my life. Never been on dirt. IMCA hobby stock car. First time in my life. I've been a drag racer my whole life, and people like, man, you got to wheel a car. You got to wheel a car. And so here's my shot, I guess, of, trying to open that horizon of maybe I, will wheel a car. The next Kyle Larson or something. Who knows?
I doubt that. But take every opportunity you can get. Take every opportunity you can get. I was filming the Carolina Sprint Tour a couple of weeks ago, and I had their head promoter and racer on, and he's like, yeah, man, we got some big boy cars. I heard that. We got some big boy cars for you to step in, and hopefully I can wheel a 305 sprint car in the future. But, Sam, look at the show. Look at the show we got tonight. Look at this.
I want to congratulate you on the way you placed everyone, and then you have Erica in the back just like 4 times. Yeah, I like that, Lee. Really great work there.
Erica's looming over it all in her proper place of dominance, stating, hey.
But you know what this says, Lee? You know what this says about the show? We have Erica coming on again for the second time. We have Brian, who, I guess he likes us because he's coming on for the second time. But then we have Alan Reinhart coming on for the first time, and it won't be the last time. There's no way this is going to be the last time he comes on. But it's nice just to have a roundtable discussion of what the big go means to different people, what this week leading up to this is going to mean, and just the history of this event. So, we kind of talked about it, and we thought this was a very, very good way to lead up to this event. And then, of course, get Off My Track. He had his episode a couple of times. Hopefully we can keep him in the doghouse and he doesn't go on too many tangents. And the boss man, Bobby Bennett, he's going to be on tonight too. So,
look, Stack Show, looking forward to it. And by the way, look at the grimace on Bobby's face in that photo. Look at it. Is that not a perfect get off my track photo right there? Look at it.
You know what Lee, he's like, what the hell was that? That's exactly what he's thinking in that moment. But yeah, Stack Show. Someone asked, Scott Malpass asked about the picks. So I don't know if the other two on the show tonight can do their picks. I don't really know if they can do that or not. We will ask. If they bow out, they bow out. But we will have picks from everyone that is willing to give picks tonight. So I hope you guys' glasses are full. And it's going to be a great show. Lee, before we get started, or do you want to wait till the end? Up to you.
Look, let's honor the time restraints and let's get these gentlemen on because we got them all in studio and they have been prompt. Let us be prompt as well. Let's take a commercial break. Competition Plus apparel. Remember, they got Scotty Cannon swag as well as Justin Ashley Rookie of the Year swag. You were going to say that, weren't you, Sam?
I was, because,
Okay.
I did order my Justin
it.
Ashley shirt.
Yeah.
I hope he can sign it for me.
He should be able to.
And then it can go up on my wall. So we'll see.
Bingo. Folks, break right now. After that, Brian Loans, Alan Reinhart, and Competition Plus's own Bobby Bennett.
Get your CompetitionPlus.com apparel today. Whether it's our nitro-burning funny car design or the vibrant door slammer design, we have the swag to show you are always in the know. Get yourself a hat too. And we know not everyone enjoys wearing a mask, but if you must wear one, at least wear a good-looking one. Check out the new CompetitionPlusApparel.com for the latest from the place where you have trusted for your news on the internet for over 2 decades.
Is there a local vineyard we can plug here?
Everyone, welcome to the Competition Plus Power Hour.
Great to be here.
We got Alan.
Yeah.
Brian, we got you.
Hey, what's happening?
All right. Bobby.
From wonderful Indianapolis, Indiana.
Awesome. So, wow, guys. I mean, there's a lot of people who do a lot of talking here. Where do we start? At this very moment. Well, Bobby, look, you have been able to.
If you want to go declining talent level, start with me, and then we can work our way down to pay. We can figure out who ends, who plays.
If you want to go declining age level, start with me and work your way down.
Okay, who has the best tasting drink on the show?
Yeah.
See Coors Light. I see Budweiser. Okay, you go first. Alan, you go first. Budweiser. Yep. So.
Okay, I just want to let you guys know that first, it's my genuine pleasure to be here. And this will be my only appearance ever because I heard you before go, everybody loves us. They come back over and over. Reinhardt's never been here before, but he's going to love us. I don't love you. So this is it. One and done. You guys make it a good one.
Well, we got more on our shoulders, Sam, for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, put me back on full screen.
Indy, look at this. Now he's producing the show.
The Hayloft.
Alan Reinhardt,
hey,
now
Loans.
Show producer.
Hey, Loans. How many of those cupcakes are you going to eat this weekend? Because I have already been to the Hayloft, and Brian knows the first time I showed up with a crate full of cupcakes, he went,
how many of these garlic
crap.
This weekend, huh? You know what these are? These are Italian cupcakes.
I'll trade you one of these for one of those, and we'll see who's better.
Yeah. All right. We'll have a pastry.
Wait a minute. I'm getting my food.
Winning a food
You
battle.
better not have
Listen. That banana, just if we've all seen Spinal Tap, I mean, that guy used a zucchini, but that thing's going to be wrapped in tinfoil tomorrow.
Hey, this is the new healthier me.
Complete with a banana. We get it.
With the banana.
We get the message.
I gotta turn this light out behind me. I'm backlit. Hang on.
We'll get away from slipping on bananas here. And Bobby, we'll start with you. I want to throw this photo up of what a good-looking gang. They're missing 2 people, but what a good-looking gang of folks covering the U.S. Nationals from the Competition Plus crowd. Talk to us about what Competition Plus followers should expect over the weekend.
Well, starting tomorrow, we will bring our extended coverage of the greatest drag race in professional drag racing and sportsman drag racing, the NHRA U.S. Nationals, where we will bring coverage, exclusive notebooks from every Camping World drag racing series, plus Pro Mod, plus all the sportsman categories, plus a video notebook featuring the talents of our very own Les Mayhew. Les is back with the team this weekend.
Stellar.
So, Bobby, another question for you here is.
Hold on. The only thing we're missing is Brian Loans writing a feature on the pork butt on a stick. That's the only thing we're missing.
That was 16 years ago. Probably my finest work ever.
I can't disagree.
So, covering this event and bringing the whole crew out there and having each person delegated to do one specific task, why do you feel this race is the one to focus on so much?
Well, from the time I was a kid till I was old enough to understand what true championship drag racing was, Indianapolis was the Super Bowl of all events for drag racing. You wanted to win Indy, and these people who say, "Oh, well, it's just another event," yeah, well, those are the people that have never won it. I haven't seen anybody that's won Indy that didn't declare that it was one of the greatest victories they ever had. If you don't think the Indy means something, you ask Ed the Ace McCullough, who won this thing 6 times, 5 times in a funny car and 1 time in a top fuel dragster. I mean, when you have a race that starts on Wednesday with about 1,000 race cars, and you will see every variation of car from, Z stock automatic Chevrolet Vegas to W stock Pintos to super stock A Hemi Barracudas. I mean, the event is just absolutely it's just a great thing to be at. And I could be angry about something or somebody saying drag racing circling the drain or whatever, but you know what? Drag racing's never been stronger.
As usual, Bobby's wrong.
Take the floor, Alan.
He said, ask anybody who's won Indy what it means. Ask anybody who's never won Indy what it means. Yeah. Is it special that Ed won it? Oh, absolutely. Is it special that Bob Glidden won it and Warren? Absolutely. Ask a guy who's done everything else and never won Indy, and then you get a feeling for how special it is. Now, I will give him credit for the A through Z stock eliminator and super stock stuff, and that's gospel truth. Back in the day, and you got to go back. Okay, anybody who's only been a NHRA fan for the last 10 years or 15 years won't understand this. Anybody that loves the history of the sport, and Loans will certainly get this. Back in the day, right? You'd get drag news, you'd get National Dragster, you go, hey, look, this guy with a B stock automatic went really fast in California, and the guy in Florida's going, hot clocks, that's crap. It never happened. A guy in Englishtown is going, oh, look, a guy in Florida ran fast, a guy in Texas. Come on. But they all met at Indy. And that was the time to put up or shut up. When if you wanted to be in Sunday's final eliminations, you had to win class. And that was huge. Obviously in the pro ranks, but if you want to ask somebody about, how important Indy is, love you, Bobby. Don't ask somebody who's won it. Ask somebody who's never won it. Justin Lamb is coming here this weekend. He's won 5 championships and 50 races in 16 different classes or some ridiculous thing. He's never won Indy, and his goal is I have to win Indy. I don't care what else I do. If I don't win Indy, my career won't be complete. That's the guy you need to ask about how important Indy is.
Well, Indy is a statement race. It's a statement race. And we will remember 40 years ago when my beloved modified eliminator was canned.
Are we still on that?
Nothing better.
Still on that, Bobby? Come on, man.
Dude,
come on. We still have look, it's like guys going to a Star Trek convention and complaining about the second episode of the second season. It's over. The series is over. It's over. There's no life left on the planet, Bobby.
There was no life after 50-pound flywheels were kicked to the curb.
Come on, man.
120 cars when the first round of, or maybe it was 64 cars, did a parade down the return road while Top Fuel was on the starting line 40 years ago. Brian was like,
I was negative 19. I was negative 19 at that point.
You wish.
40 years ago, I actually was negative 19, according to, math, Common Core, otherwise. Yeah.
But it's the benchmark for national events, and yes, maybe it doesn't mean the same with 23 events as it did with 8 events for the whole year. But Indianapolis it's it. I mean, it's enough to put a smile on my face. Now, I cannot guarantee on Sunday evening after 5 straight 14-hour days I'll still be smiling. Probably so, because I'll be done working. But every one of you, I believe, shares the same passion for this event I do.
Yeah, I agree. I feel it's the same way, and I think it's to Alan's point and to the point you're making here. It's unique in the fact that when we look at, especially to me, the alcohol categories, it really is one of the few, if not the only place we see truly intercontinental, competition between these cars. One of probably my single favorite Indy memory that will never be surpassed is when my friend Dan Page from New Hampshire won Top Alcohol Dragster. He beat Sean Cowie to do it. And you're talking about a guy from New Hampshire and a guy from really Western Canada to win that race. And, that cemented for me kind of the value of what this event is in so many different ways. But, the other thing for me about this race is it when you go into Sunday, and this race, more than any other race in the entire circuit that we run, you're going to see upsets. And it's very odd that it's an odd year where we don't see some strange things happen. Last year, you had Bob Bodie beating Alexis. You had Dale Creasy Jr. beating Tommy Johnson Jr. in the first round. And it's everything. It's the Hemi parade up the return road. It's the bunting on the fences. It's the whole, absolutely the entire package of the event that really is, what we're all saying the same thing here, which is it's not the same as every other event. And the fact, if you have to try to sell that idea to somebody, they don't really understand the sport much or don't like it that much. That's really what it comes down to.
On the stories and upsets, so Alan, I'm going to shoot this one to you. What are the sentimental stories? What are the hope-fors out of this particular U.S. Nationals that you think we've got shaping up in the story world, from pro categories on down through the sportsman categories? What do you think are some of the top sentimental stories and favorites?
We don't know yet. And that's one of the things that makes us special. With a full field plus in every category that's here, I believe there's 19 and 19 in the nitro categories, 20 pro stockers, 22 bikes. And when you look at the sportsman categories, this is the only race of the year where there's a 128 car field in stock and super stock, and somebody's not going to qualify. Not just somebody, a lot of somebodies is not going to qualify. I don't think you can know what the story is going to be this early in the weekend. I think when you get to, Brian talked about some of the big upsets in last year, and it's happened years and years. When you get to the point where it's like you're in the semifinals and everybody's going, holy crap, that guy's got a chance to win Indy. And that's when those things start to take place. You just don't know. It's kind of like, if you go into the playoffs, who's going to be the Cinderella team this year in the NCAA tournament? Don't ask me when we're playing the first round. Ask me when to get to the Sweet 16 and then go, what do you mean? Southwest Nobody State is still in? And then they gain so many fans and so much recognition. So, I don't know how you can handicap that going in, like who's going to be the underdog, who's going to be the person to watch, but we will find out as the weekend goes on. And, that'll start with the first pro qualifying session. If somebody goes out there, somebody that's not a fully funded super team car goes out there on Friday night and makes a solid run where all of us who are in the know are going, he or she's in the field, then you start realizing that this might be, an underdog story to watch it. But I don't know how you would handicap that this early in the weekend. Who's going to be the Cinderella story in the NCAA tournament? You don't know until you played a couple of games, and then you go, wow, he beat them and them and them, and he's still around to play. And that's when the stories start to come together.
If I can bring one up that I've been kind of rolling around in my head, the storyline of an aging announcer, an aging journalist coming together at this point in the center of our country, maybe setting differences aside, linking themselves for what will become a lifelong friendship, the ups and the downs. I feel like that may be a storyline I'm starting to follow right now. I don't know about you guys, Sam and Lee. I can't speak to your feelings right now, but I'm seeing a little Brady Bunch North and South action happening right there. Play out.
I see what you're putting down there. I definitely see what you're putting down. So, Brian, to continue what you're talking about and to finally hear that we have full fields and that there's going to be people that don't make it. We've heard all year of, well, NHRA is dying and no one cares. And why is this happening? But then we look at this event and say, well, we have full fields. That's what everyone has asked for. What does that mean to you, seeing that, hearing that, knowing we're walking into a place that's going to be packed with racers?
Well, it means a couple things. One, it should not be a surprise to us that we have full fields, not just in Indy, but that this is a situation that needs to be addressed, and it's going to be addressed in a pretty critically quick fashion by the sanctioning body. There's going to be some meetings this weekend happening between the NHRA and the professional teams. Throughout the weekend, there'll be separate meetings of the pro stock motorcycles, the cars, and then the nitro teams to talk about different measures that are being taken, some things that are going to happen. You're going to hear some announcements over the course of this week, but it's the most critical situation that faces the sport right now. It's the most critical situation that faces the sanctioning body right now. And I think there is a great sense of urgency to get it fixed. Now, the fact that we have full fields in Indy is great. I mean, we should. It should not even be a conversation that we have full fields in Indy, because it should just be an expectation. But we're in a place right now that's challenging for a multitude of different reasons, and here we are. So, yes, it is fantastic that we have 19 or 20 cars in both of those fuel categories. And, again, we have an overflow in pro stock motorcycle, pro modified, as Alan said, kind of right down the board. Even alcohol funny car is a bump spot, which is a great thing, because as we all know, alcohol funny car has been struggling maybe beyond anybody else as far as the car counts go. So it means a lot. It means that we should see over the course of the 3 sessions of the weekend, we should see some movement. The weather's telling us that it should be pretty fast this weekend, pretty much all the way across the board. So I think even if you may miss it on Friday night, you still have a pretty good shot of making some hay on Saturday during the early part of the session or later, depending on what part of the day it is. But I think one of the affirmation that this race provides for the season, for the sport, for whatever, is the fact that, yes, like when push comes to shove, when the chips are on the table, when it is a race of major importance, you are going to get people to show up. And we can look at Nitro Funny Car. We see independent regional teams on the West Coast, a couple of them starting to butt up a little bit on the East Coast, according to the rumor mill. We look at our top fuel category. We see the majority of the teams are based kind of in the gut of the country, in the center of the country. So we really don't have a lot of issues when we run in the middle of the country or when we go to the western side or to the eastern side. But bottom line is this: there needs to be changes. There are going to be some changes that are going to, I think, be positively effective for getting cars out to the racetrack. And I think the most important thing to understand is that the management of the company understands the bottom line is the cars are the baseline bottom line of the sport, and we need as many of them as we can get out there.
And from what I understand, Loans, those conversations will even continue after Indy. I know Doug Foley has expressed that, some NHRA leadership wants to sit down with him at Maple Grove and say, hey, what else can we do? So it's an ongoing conversation.
It's not a hey, here's the fix in 15 minutes type of thing. It's definitely going to be, the reality is you got to take stock and to do the best you can for as many people as you can. And it's like any problem confronting any business, you have to make a decision that's going to be most effective for the majority of the people, which means the minority of the people are probably going to be pissed off at you, but you're going to affect and move the needle in the right direction. So, thankfully, I don't have to make that decision. I just get to sit here and pontificate about what it could be and what they're going to do to make it. But at the end of the day, the idea is to take what we have and make it greater than, as opposed to, making it harder to compete. And guys like Doug Foley and others are a critical part of this infrastructure, because we want to see Doug Foley not 6 times a year. We want to see him 8, 10, 12 times a year. So how do we get that and make an environment for him to be out there more frequently? And that's a situation that the company's working to address.
I think this is also a situation where everybody has the same goal, right? It's not like NHRA says, okay, guys, here's what we want to do. And the racers are going, here's what we want to do. And the track owners are going, here's what we want to do. Everybody wants to figure out how we can make this work across the board. How can we get more cars? How can we get more participation? How can we ensure full fields, or at least close to, at every event that we have? And there's a lot of smart people out here, okay? Nobody that owns a racetrack is an idiot. Nobody that owns a Top Fuel or Funny Car team.
I've worked for a couple of them. Yeah. You have too.
Okay. Brian knows idiots. But nobody who owns a professional race team is an idiot. And Brian talked about, that there's also going to be meetings with the alcohol teams that are going on as well for exactly the same thing. How do we generate more participation? How do we know the cars are out there. How do we get them to come to the track? Do we need to adjust the schedule? Do we need to adjust? What do we need to do? But there's a lot of smart people here that all have the same goal. So if we can get them all in the same room, talking about, it's not about, me versus you. It's not about me against you. It's not about, am I smarter than Brian? Is Brian prettier than me? That we're all looking for the same thing here. And by the way, I am smarter and prettier than Brian, just so you know. But this will
not more honest.
What?
Honesty isn't in the equation, I see.
But by the end of the weekend, there's going to be positive news on both sides because everybody wants the same thing. They might not have the same idea of how to get there, but we all want the same thing. So when we all get together and talk about it, there's going to be some give, some take, some compromise, but we all want the same thing, and that is for the sport to thrive. It's not us against them. It's how do all of us make this better for all of us.
Well, you know what, guys? I mean, from a media standpoint, someone who has made a living covering drag racing, our job is to hold drag racing accountable. But it's also our job it's also our job to ensure the sport is healthy all the way. And, regardless of, yes, we may hold people's feet to the fire, but we need a healthy NHRA and a healthy sport.
Roll the check.
I mean, we need that for all of us to survive out here.
What is going on?
Listen, and Bobby, your sentiment is 100% correct, and it's accurate, and I'm not making light of it. What I am making light of is the idiots that I'm here in the home of. They're not idiots; they're my friends, which I guess by definition of that makes them all idiots. But I am here at the home of Jill and Kevin McKenna. We are consuming pizza and maybe having a beer or two. And Kevin was adamant that we get his championship check from his glorious NMRA career, as well as the book that he has published about how to go drag racing.
Buy the damn book.
So this is a commercial enterprise tonight. It's a
that right.
I'm here against my will. So please, anybody who's watching this, please send help.
And all I brought was cupcakes. I feel like I should up my prop game a little bit here.
But Bobby, to your point, yeah, I mean the whole thing needs to be like an ecosystem, and it's a crappy phrase to use because it's like a business phrase, the ecosystem or this or that. But the way that the sport at its healthiest over the course of its history has had healthy media being a watchdog or being a third party. It has been it's had an industry supporting it to make the parts. It's had independent, whether we're talking about advertising or however you want to define that kind of end of the business. But I really feel like there's a migration back to that style of how the sport was in terms of what it needed to be and what it needs to be healthy. And I'm not impugning Don Schumacher Racing. I'm not going after Coletta, or I'm not going after John Force Racing to say that it is not sustainable, at least in the current model as we sit right now. It doesn't look sustainable to be able to have a gigantic team of that magnitude to do what we do right now. And if they can continue to support it, that's fantastic and it's great. But it does appear that there's a shift going on, and that shift is toward a smaller, more nimble, if you will, kind of model that doesn't manufacture its own parts and pieces, but instead supports an environment or an economy around the sport. And people have asked me times, what period of drag racing would you most want to be involved in? And I said this one, because this is one of the most interesting times in the history of the sport. I mean, I'm not saying I wouldn't have loved to have been there in the 60s or the 70s or the 80s, but when you look at what's happening in motorsports and drag racing anywhere now, there is shifts of magnitude happening. You look at what's going on in NASCAR, you look at what's going on in other areas of motorsports, and it's a pretty interesting time to be around this whole thing. And obviously, and I'm not saying this to be a jerk, but Bobby and Alan have been around it a lot longer than I have, and I'm sure they've seen this moment coming a lot longer ahead of time than I have.
Well, you know what? Again, anybody who doesn't proclaim that these are the best times of drag racing never had to look in the National Dragster to see 2 months later when the Diamond P coverage was going to come on for just 1 hour, and hope that your black and white TV was able to focus in on those days. And to have to wait to National Dragster or the Superstock and Drag Illustrated came to the house to see who won a race weeks ago. So you've never had it so good. Now, Brian, when you were speaking, was that the ecosystem or the ego system?
Well, I mean, listen, without ego, we don't have racing of any sort. I mean, that is the prime driver of this whole thing. People are like, no, racing runs on dollar bills. No, it doesn't. It runs on ego. And thank God there are so many people out there that have so much of it that they need to go onto television or in front of a crowd of people and drive 300 miles an hour or 200 miles an hour and hang on to some crazy motorcycle that goes 200 miles an hour on a back wheel. So without those people and without the ecosystem, as you mentioned, we're not here BSing about this stuff. So thank God for that.
See, I kind of agree and disagree. I think, the super teams, if it wasn't for them, I don't know, how many of these smaller teams get support and get help from Don Schumacher? How many of the smaller teams have been able to thrive because guys like Ron Tobler, guys like JC, guys like would go over and look over their stuff and go, hey guys, how many guys have gotten assistance from Coletta over the years when they were struggling, they were ready to throw their hands in the air and just give up. So I think those big teams are very valuable to the sport. I think they are helping immensely the smaller teams to stay out there and to be able to be a part of it. And, ego, absolutely. Nobody gets into any contest that doesn't have an ego. Unless you're just playing for exercise, nobody plays tennis or table tennis or without an ego, right? I want to prove I'm better than you. And in racing, it certainly exemplifies that. But I think that the big teams, if you said, okay, everybody can only have a 2-car team, I don't think that would be great for the sport, because the big teams right now are playing such a big role in supporting the small teams and keeping them out there and keeping them viable and keeping more and more cars coming to the racetrack. And I think that's a pretty good ecosystem, not ego system.
Yeah, I can't disagree. And there's two sides to that coin. And the first side of the coin is that those big teams have incubated and cultivated and made more talent in this sport than any independent group of teams could have ever done. The brain power accumulated at John Force Racing, Don Schumacher Racing, Coletta Motorsports, and that coaching tree, if you will, or that crew chief tree, or that evolution of, we see guys, I mean, it's like every week there's a guy opening up a fab shop in Indy now that has moved on or has gone out independently from one of these huge teams, and they've gained the skills and the knowledge and the ability from working for these organizations. So they have done nothing wrong or nothing bad, and I'm not trying to paint them in that light. I feel like at the time when those teams were formed, and when the sport evolved into that direction, it was almost like a move to be more like IndyCar, which at the time I think that was almost the model. And it's like anything else that stuff evolves and changes over time. And we're seeing those teams evolve and change with the times and doing what they got to do. But yeah, I mean, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. And yes, they have provided a ton of support. We've heard from gazillions of people, Dale Creasy, others, that like they've blown up a body and Don Schumacher slung a body at him immediately. We know when Jason Rupert had a problem and blew the car up in Pomona that he was offered help by every major team. Unfortunately, his chassis a little bit different, so they couldn't just stick a body on top of it. So it's interesting road to walk down, right? It's an interesting thing to consider, but it also, nothing stays the same forever, right? And things change. And so there was a time when the guy built his top fuel dragster in the garage and it ran 9.5 seconds and he was the baddest ass guy in the country. And then there was a time that you had 100 people working for you to build top fuel dragsters and build your own cylinder heads and build your own blocks and build your own crankshafts and whatever, build your own connecting rods. But maybe there's a time post that. And maybe that's the time we're moving into now, where the guy that learned to make the connecting rods, the guy that has done that work forever, maybe he's the guy that now takes a step forward and does his own thing. It's very interesting to consider. And it's like everything else. No one can predict the future, but I think you can look at the amount of incredible talent that has been accumulated, especially here in the Indianapolis area, the machining ability, the fabrication ability, the engineering ability. And I don't know how long you can keep it cooped up in a few small buildings. Eventually, that talent blows the walls down and kind of it's like kicking a hornet's nest at some point. And go to Mooresville. You've been there, Alan. I'm sure you've been there, Bobby. But you go to Mooresville, North Carolina, and you can't swing a dead cat without hitting 5 guys that build cool stuff, that build hot rods, that build chassis, that build motors. And that's what this area is becoming right now. It's wild.
I agree, but I also think that it's a perpetual motion thing. You know, when you look at when John Force was starting out, okay, everybody knows, right? He blew up everything he had every second run, and he was out of business. And then somebody went over and went, okay, look, here's a used block, here's some junk, throw it back together, come to the next race. And that stuff is going down the road. You know, not talking about the super teams. How many teams that are out there right now that when they run good say, if it wasn't for Bobby Lagana or Dom Lagana, I wouldn't be where I am now. You know, Bobby point blank at the last race, when they beat Clay Millican in the final round, said in an interview on the starting line, Clay and Mike Klober kept us alive 20 years ago when we were doing our stuff. He said, if it wasn't for the fact that we've never won Brainerd, I would have been rooting for him because we are repaying the favor. You know, those guys kept us alive when we didn't have, 2 extra rod bolts. And now we're in a position where if a guy comes over and goes, oh, my God, I'm out of rod bolts, I go, look, here's some. Go back out there. Put your car together. Come on. I think it's a perpetual motion machine. And it certainly changes over the period of time. But the guys that have been helped will at some point get in a position where they can help. And you continue to just pay it forward. You know, everybody, you talked about Dale Creasy, when Don Schumacher swung him a body. Is there ever going to come a time when Don Schumacher's in need and Dale Creasy goes, hey, I can help you out? Probably not. But will there become a time somewhere down the road where a guy's in trouble and Dale Creasy goes, hey, let me loan you my spare stuff to get you back on track? And that's been a part of the sport forever. And I think it's going to continue. I think it's a perpetual pay it forward thing that's been going on at least as long as I've been around.
Something I think that we're missing too is that when there was a strong IHRA, it made the NHRA strong. When there was another sanctioning body that ran and could somewhat peacefully coexist, it also gave more opportunities for the lesser funded teams to run and have a chance to win. One of the things that always stuck with me over the years is Warren Johnson told me that he learned how to win while racing in IHRA. And we're talking about the seasons of 79, 80, and 80. He didn't win the championship there in 81, but he did in 79 and 80. And then transitioned over full time to NHRA. And I think that our sport as a whole needs an alternative sanctioning body for more opportunities for some of these nitro teams to race and make money so they can, move over and run NHRA. This is not for somebody to give NHRA competition. It's just to build the sport as a whole. Because at one time we had 3 very good sanctioning bodies running at one time: the American Hot Rod Association, IHRA, and NHRA. Granted, each series only ran maybe 8 to 10 races, but they all kept one another in check.
So there's 2 questions here that I have. One, is the announcement of Ron Tobler coming and announcing, having some announcing duties. I don't know which one of you guys want to speak on that, but someone in his fashion, and there you go. Someone in his fashion and having his history and background with racing in general, what does that mean to have him be a part of announcing this race?
First
and Brian,
off,
I guess everyone pointed to you.
Yeah. Well, of course they are. Why? Who else are going to point to? You? Come on. Of course. What are we doing here? No. So it's spectacular to have Ron with us this weekend. He is among my favorite people I've probably ever interacted with in my life. He's an incredible guy, and you're going to see some cool stuff on our broadcast. So we're going to have again. I come on the show and I say things, but we're going to be at the top end of the racetrack. We're going to have a separate cool desk like you see on like a golf broadcast. So me and Tony will be in a booth up in the tower, but we're going to have this top end desk where Tobler will be down there, Amanda will be down there. We'll be doing some driver interviews and stuff, but he'll also be able to comment with replays and stuff like that. So it's fantastic. I've talked to Ron a couple times this week about it. He's very excited. We're certainly excited to have him, and it's going to be great. The guy he's brilliant, multi-time champion, and just a super great human being. So can't wait to have him as part of our team.
Will wine be at that desk or tower?
No,
only on Saturday night.
Yeah, Saturday night maybe, but definitely not when we're on the air. But there will probably be some vino in the general vicinity. And, maybe it's this bottle right here. Who knows? It could be this. Oh, and this wine, appropriate to the show, is called Freak Show. I was handed this bottle of wine. It has a man who is strikingly resembling Reinhardt in a unitard.
Come on.
Well, we can't see in the circus tent. Oh, wait. There's a bearded lady. I don't know if you can see her. Very Bennett-like right there. I don't know if we have the resolution to show that. It's very Bennett-esque. Bearded
Actually,
lady.
you know what? Yeah. You're right. The guy in the tights does look like me. The circus tent looks like you. Come on, Modes. Yeah. Pitch your next one.
Yeah.
Wow. Well,
no, but it's going to be killer. He's going to do a great job, and we're going to have a great time with Toad for sure.
Well, gentlemen, look, we do have the 4-time NHRA Pro Stock champion waiting in studio, and we definitely do want to get to her. But before we move on, let's get back just a little bit to U.S. Nationals, and I do want to ask, going in to this particular U.S. Nationals, and though we might not be able to predict historical moments, every U.S. Nationals at this point has historical under and overtones, and in particular this one, it's an anniversary of Blaine Johnson and his passing in that incident there.
That's actually 25 years today.
Right. It's huge, and look, it's big for me. I tell people all the time, the first driver I ever lost was Neil Bonnet, and the second one was Blaine Johnson. As a young drag racing fan, I was a fan of Blaine. And I remember when the news came on, and you didn't get news quickly back then. It wasn't like it is today. You see a Facebook post and it's out there and you go see a YouTube video. I remember getting the news and thinking to myself, like, what just happened? It was hard to compute that a race car driver, these people who are doing something larger than life can have that happen. But what are some of the other historical benchmarks this weekend that people need to be talking about and expressing? Bobby.
Oh, wow. Well, it caught me off guard on that one.
He had a 1 out of 3 chance. And how off guard can it be? He's going to say 1 out of 3 guys.
Brian, he was asleep. He was asleep.
What the hell?
Let's be honest.
I think the most historical moment will be who wins the W Stock Automatic Crowns when both cars displace together less than a 289 cubic inch engine, 140 cubic inches for those cars. Now, I mean, you can. The thing is that you can never predict what's going to happen with Indy. I mean, it's like 76. When I was like 9 and like I don't know, Brian was like negative 15 or whatever. Gary Bergen upset Don Prudhomme, in the finals there, or '78, Tom the Mongoose McEwen beats Don Perdone. But there are also the moments that particularly for me, and I'm almost certain it was 1991 when the legendary Dave McClellan was following the passing of Gary Ormsby, one of the greatest Top Fuel drivers ever. Just hearing him say "Godspeed, brother." We'll always remember you, and those are some of the things that Indy brings. But the thing is that most of the things that happen for the Indy thing, I don't care how good at predicting stuff you are, you can't predict what's going to happen. I mean, will we have a Gary Bergen, Don Perdone moment, and will that be like somebody out of the blue upsetting Steve Torrance in the Top Fuel final? That would be similar, correct?
Who are you wanting to answer your question?
Huh?
Who are you wanting to answer that question?
I got myself geared up because there's two of us left. I just don't want to be. I want to be ready to pounce. Come in. Come in hot here.
Alan, from your perspective, man.
Well, like I said before, I don't think at this point it's too early in the weekend to talk about, wow, this is the moment that everybody's going to remember. My first Indy, and I was literally there as a spectator. I had a friend of mine that was moving across the country. I was helping move and timed it so that I could dump them in Michigan and then come back to Indy and go to my first ever U.S. Nationals. And this had to be late 80s at some point. I don't know exactly what year. But the one thing from that experience that I remember was Ed McCullough and what was at the time the Big Bud Shootout, smoking the tires, idling down, turning off at the scoreboard when there was a gate there, idling down the return road, idling back around the tower, drove the funny car all the way back into the pits before he shut it off. He was that mad. And the fans went freaking crazy. And that's one of the things I will always remember about Indy. I was there in 1996 when Blaine crashed. I was there when Elmer came off the bike, also in 1996. I have been through the highs and the lows and, some of the incredible, oh my God, that's the most amazing thing ever moments. And I've been through some of the, oh my God, that's the most horrible thing ever moments. And I have no idea what this year is going to offer. Next week I will be able to come back and tell you. I love what Bobby said about the W stock automatic. There are 2 V stock automatic cars on the property this weekend. And I'm a car guy. Okay. I still own my high school car, literally. And I love stock and super stock. I love going back in the history of this stuff. I love watching a used stock automatic get a 6-second head start over a AA car or something. And class eliminations is going to be incredible. When you look at what Jimmy Daniels did in the Hemi Challenge all those years, that's not possible, right? Except it happened. And so year after year, when we'd come back, well, there's no possible way he can win 3 in a row. Well, look, there's no possible way. Yes, he did. And so what the moments are going to be, I have no idea. Will somebody come out of the woodwork and beat Steve Torrance? Maybe, and maybe that'll be the moment. Will Steve Torrance go dominate the event? Maybe, and maybe that'll be the moment. But, ask me on Sunday night or Monday morning, what was the Indy thing that sticks with me from this year, and I'll be able to answer it then. But right now I don't. I remember, I couldn't tell you what year it was, but how many people had Del Worsham coming in here and winning the Big Bud Shootout and then winning Funny Car? I was here, and everybody in the place went, there's no way that could, oh, look, it just happened. You can't predict those kind of things, and that's what makes this race so special, because you can't predict it. To go into the sportsman stuff, and this will go back when, Brian was -8. I believe 17 years, the first 17 years when they split Pro Comp into Alcohol Dragster, Alcohol Funny Car, nobody won Alcohol Dragster twice. Every year an Alcohol Dragster was like, how the heck did that guy win? Or how the heck did it? the year that Michael Bartone won it as an alternate, I think a second alternate, maybe it was great. And that's one of those magical Indy moments. So there's no way you can sit here at this point and say this will be the magical Indy moment. But if you ask me on Monday, I'll be able to give you 3 at least where I go, nobody saw that coming. That was a magical Indy moment.
Have had time to, begin the answer with, and then the earth cooled, and then everything else happened. I'm going to be a little bit more succinct, okay? I'm going to snug it up. A little bit here, okay? So here's the deal. Here's what the upset is. The upset is that there's nearly 900 people from around this country that have towed race cars, some 5 miles, some 500 miles, some 2,000 miles, to come here and do this again for the 67th time. It has not stopped since 1955. Every other thing has. Every other thing stopped, whether it was last year or 5 years ago or 10 years ago or 20 years ago. Everything else stopped, but not this. And that's the upset. That tomorrow morning the sun's going to come up and we're going to, at 8 o'clock in the morning, have stock eliminator cars running down that racetrack the same way that has been done here since 1961. And if that doesn't make your heart pitter patter in some way, you got to pick something else to like, because this is it. This is as good as it gets, and it's going to start tomorrow morning. That's my answer. Way quicker than those guys. Low ET, I win.
Amen. Dude.
No.
Like a televangelist for drag racing.
My moment is that this whole thing is going to be awesome. That's it, really? Whoa, look at Brian way out on a limb.
Well, hold on. All right. Alan was like, I was there when that tree grew up. I was there that time when they put the fence post in. Remember when that happened and they moved that stand back 6 feet? I was there when that happened too. I wasn't.
Well, I can tell you that when Sunday evening rolls around, Competition Plus will have delivered 100,000 words of coverage that you can count on.
Bobby, thank you for that.
Yeah.
All right, listen.
Wow.
You kids have a pleasant evening. Erica's going to take you both to the cleaner, so I'm going to sit here and watch it. Good luck.
Right.
Good luck.
Yes. And Alan, for us, before you leave, can you please give us one attention in the pits and call Miss EE to the starting line?
Can I leave first before that happens? Do I have to say? Is there an option?
Don't worry, Brian. Brian. Someday you'll be known for something. Or maybe
the late night controversy on the Competition Plus Power Hour. Love it.
All right. Hey, everybody on the Power Hour, listen up. Attention in the pits. We need Erica Enders to the screen, please. Erica, come on down.
In the race for quality, there is no finish line. Jerry Bickle Race Cars is a one-stop chassis shop for drag racing performance parts and race components. For over 50 years, Jerry Bickle Race Cars has been an essential part of racers' plans for building world champion race cars. Our parts department is stocked with every part a racer might need. Log on to jerrybickle.com for more information. We build anything with doors. jerrybickle.com.
Thank God you're here. No, that was a great segment with Alan, Brian, and Bobby. That was so great. But it is great to have the four-time NHRA Pro Stock champion on. And if I'm not mistaken, defending U.S. National
Defending,
champion.
Yes.
Yes. Let us bask in the royalty that has come on to the show.
Y'all are embarrassing me.
Way to go, Lee. Way to go.
Between y'all and Reinhard, geez Louise.
Hey,
how about that intro, though?
Yeah.
Pretty awesome.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh.
But Sam, look, I've got a history of stumping this gal every now and then in interviews. Like the last question gets her every time. It's a beautiful sight.
Yeah, no, I mean, Erica, we've had plenty of interviews Lee, you've got interviews with her, but this one's totally different. Recapping, reliving, what you just did last year and how you, like you said, you're the defending champ. We didn't get the picks from the other three guys, so we'll have to have them text them in if they're still on the screen or listening. But I can tell you it's penciled in. You are my pro stock pick. No pressure. But what does it what?
Stop sucking up.
I'm not. I mean, it's been written down for like 4 days already. But anywho, what does it mean for you? What does Indy mean for you? Defending champion? Just kind of tell us about all that.
Indy's the Super Bowl of drag racing. Since I was a little kid growing up watching it on TV, watching our heroes race for the Wally on U.S. Nationals weekend. Just a lot of memories from that. And then going to the inaugural Junior Drag Racing League finals. The first one was in 1994 at Indianapolis Raceway Park, Lucas Oil Raceway. So there's just a ton of memories there. We were able to win our first one in Pro Stock in 2015. Shoulda, coulda, woulda won 2019 when I was 00 and Laughlin was 170 million, but whatever. And then we were able to get it done last year. So just a true blessing. And, I can sum it up really well. Like my crew chief, Rick Jones, in 2015, when we won our first U.S. Nationals together, he cried. He's 50 something years old. And that's what this race means to people. He's raced his entire life, and that was his first win as well. And to be able to do it together was just awesome. But it kind of puts it in perspective how meaningful this weekend is.
All right. You are third in points. You have clinched your playoff spot. So should breathe easy to some extent going into Indy, or because it being Indy, do you not breathe easy at all? Do you treat it differently, or as a competitor, as you are, do you go in saying, hey, I've got to play this as any other race to be able to win the race, even though it's bigger?
In one sense, I kind of just go in and treat it like another race. But at the same time, you cannot, when you walk in the gate, the feeling is different. Everything about this entire week is different. So even last year during COVID, when we raced at Indy a number of times before the U.S. Nationals actually took place, the feeling was different for Indy week. So this race is very prestigious and it means a lot. People work their entire lives for this, and I'm excited to have been able to win twice. I've been to 4 finals there in Pro Stock, and we're hopeful to have another successful weekend this coming weekend at Indy. But it's tough, man. The butterflies are real, the nerves are real. I feel like it is that way for everyone. So I'm ready to go.
Well, word in just from your team that you're racing this weekend. So,
yeah, that's probably one of my goofball truck drivers that are rolling out at 6 a.m. So yeah, we are. Get your ass in the truck. Let's go.
So a little insight from someone that's on your team told me you guys had a kind of a pre-race talk, a little phone conversation today about just, like you said, what it's meant, what your crew and everybody goes through preparing for Indy. Is that something that is typical to have a conversation with this person, aka your sister, who gave me that little insight for every race, or is it just, like you said, how significant Indy has meant to you guys?
Yeah, Indy's significant, and Courtney's my forever hype girl. She's always on it when I'm feeling down in the dumps, when things aren't going right. She's pretty much the last voice of reason I hear before they shut the door and I fire the race car. So today, on my way home from the shop, her and I had a pretty lengthy conversation, and then Chase and I had dinner tonight, and we talked about it as well. And it means a lot to us, and we all worked hard to prepare for this. We feel like races are won before you leave the shop, and we're locked and loaded, ready to go.
Definitely the competition has got to be on the lookout for Erica Enders each and every weekend. But, Erica, here lately, the talk hasn't been EE in pro stock. It's been like, will Greg get it done? It's been, look at this kid, Dallas Glenn. Look at Aaron Stanfield. Oh, a staging duel. We come to Indy, and it's like you're kind of flying in under the radar, maybe. Do you like that? Do you want to make a statement this weekend going into the countdown? Like, hey, guys, I never left. I'm still here. All the controversy. I'm the real deal.
I don't feel like I have to say any of that. I think all this stuff says that for us. I'm a little feisty today. I've been dealing with some haters and some BS, but no, I don't need the attention. I'm the kind of person that walks in the room and sneaks around the backside. I don't need the bright lights and all of that. And I'll let our win lights speak for our success. So I think what people are accomplishing on the racetrack is great. I give myself a C- at the best for our performance this year so far. But honestly, the last few years, and we won back-to-back championships doing it, we sucked before the countdown got here. So when crunch time comes, when you put us against the wall, watch out. That's all I have to say.
Sam, that is definitely true. I was there in 2019, round one, which was epic against Greg, and the deck was stacked. She got it done, and that was one heck of a close race. And Eric, look, I know you're in the car. I can't imagine what it's like in the car in that moment, but you could feel it in the stands. You could cut the tension literally with a knife. I'm sitting next to American Hot Rod Entertainment, Darren Williams Jr., and we're like, oh, this is big. This is big. And you have those moments because you are who you are and you bring your best to the table each and every time. And I'm hoping we have those moments with you this very U.S. Nationals for sure.
Thank you. I think those moments are important for our sport, regardless of who it is. What Greg and I faced round one when he hooked us purposely, you're right. You could have cut the tension with a knife, and that was felt inside the cockpit too, and inside our trailer as we prepared, going over all of the data. And I'm sure it was the same in their camp. But it is so weird as a driver when you hit that starter button before and fire the car. All that stuff goes away. And I also feel like that's something that's acquired through, the valleys that you go through and driving for teams that, you knew when you showed up on the property, you weren't going to qualify, but you were out there getting seat time. You being able to fly in and test other people's race cars, getting the seat time because they had to work. Every opportunity I have, I climb in that race car, and I feel like all of those things have made me better. It wasn't something that I was necessarily born with. It was something that I acquired, kind of like the thicker skin. I didn't have it before. I'm still learning how to have it, but being deadly in high pressure situations is something that you acquire through experience. And while we're talking about all the other things going on, I feel like we're still really great at that. And I think that we will illustrate it these next 7 races with our red car.
And, and that's what it's all about. And I did a video with you on Outlaw Performance ENT that's on YouTube. When everything is stacked against Erica, when, like you said, Lee said it, flying under the radar or anything else, you always seem to find a way to pull it through. In this case, it was in Vegas, qualifying 13. And we talked about that. But I wouldn't say how much pressure do you put on yourself when you're stacked against the odds, but it seems like somehow, some way you find that one thing that's like, hey, yeah, it's against me right now, but I can turn this around and just look and see and watch what I do. Is that, your kind of forte? You kind of just go in it and you're like, I'm having fun. I'm doing what I love to do. Or do you kind of like that hidden pressure?
I love the pressure. While I do have fun and I love what I do, those aren't the things that are on my mind. My team owner and my crew chiefs are always saying, just relax, just let's have some fun and whatever. But that's not why I'm there. There's this means so much more to me than that, especially now that, I'm a little older, I'm more mature in how I think and how I operate. And while in the whole grand scheme of life, drag racing doesn't matter. It just matters in our little bitty community. And, it's 15 minutes of fame when you win and You're talked about and jabbed at a few times when you mess up, but other than that, it is what it is. So I try to have the mentality of where it means everything to me, but in the whole grand scheme of life, it doesn't matter. It doesn't change where I go home to. It doesn't change my family. It doesn't change my team. It doesn't change if I can turn my lights on or not. So there are way bigger and better things to worry about, but I love the pressure. I'd rather roll up and race Jason Line or Greg Anderson every single time. I know Jason's retired, but I love racing those guys, and Jed Coughlin as well. I feel like they bring out the best in me, and to be the best, you have to beat the best. And I would rather run somebody like that than a 14, 15, 16 qualifier. You just rise to the occasion.
All right, with Indy, everyone wants to play up the historical nature of it, and it's deserved that should be the case. It's what we should do. It's so special in drag racing. What are the bare bones about that track, though? What type of track is it? Does it have anything as a driver you've got to be concerned about bump-wise, or being in this particular lane, or, being at this facility, you have to do this or that? Is there anything like that with Indy that stands out for you as a competitor?
No, I mean, Indy's a pretty great racing facility. Again, when you roll in the gate, the feeling is different. When I was in the finals there in 2015, I was in the left lane. In 2019 and 20, I was in the right lane. So, thankfully, that's not my job to decide, and I just go where my guys tell me. But there's nothing that stands out that's significant. It's kind of a little bit like Vegas, where it's a pretty equal playing field. Bristol's bumpy. Houston's awful. There are just certain places that stand out to you. But Indy, there's not really anything that you have to navigate or whatever. My guys read the track the best that they can, and they read the atmospheric conditions, and they make our setup the best that we can. Lane choice is a big deal, and you always want to have it, but I don't think this is a track where it's a make it or break it.
So we've talked about the track. We've talked about the serious stuff. What is something that when you get to Indy, you're like, you know what? This reminds me of this certain situation, or that one little thing that can just take your mind off of everything other than at the track and in the car? Is there a special place in Indy that someone can find Erica to get her mind off of everything else?
You asked about memories. There's one that kind of flashes back from that inaugural race in 1994. There's a really cool picture of my sister and I from down at the top end when I won the semis, and we were going to the finals to compete for the Wally. And I always think about that picture when we roll in the gate. But as far as fun away from the racetrack stuff goes, Indy's a really cool city. We've caught football games at Lucas Oil Stadium before, but Indy's a really great town for really good food. So, 1 or 2 nights out of the weekend, we'll head downtown and have a good steak dinner.
Yeah, speaking of the food, what's up with this Hayfield market or bakery, or what is everybody talking about?
My sister made a post the other day about we needed cupcakes or a cake or something. So there were a lot of people that had that recommendation. I think it was Haycroft or something like that. But anyway, we're planning a fun little get together this weekend. And then we have a pro stock meeting in our elite pit on Friday afternoon. So looking forward to that. Not really sure what it's regarding, but we'll see. So yeah, we've got some fun stuff in the works for this weekend. I got my Melling and Gallagher guys coming out. Our sponsor acquisition guy will be there. A couple of my team members have guests coming. We have both of our rental cars filled this weekend with Bruno Massel and Bob Benza, in addition to myself, Troy Coughlin Jr., and Aaron Stanfield. So full camp this weekend. It'll be busy and it'll be a lot of fun.
No St. Elmo's?
Well, maybe for the shrimp cocktail, but I've decided I won't go there for my steaks anymore. But no, this weekend's going to be awesome.
And you just said Bruno's going to be in a car. And Indy. I'm not even going to say it. I just I think everyone knows what I'm talking about. Will we see it? Will it happen? Or will he keep it under 3 minutes? That's all we're going to focus on right there.
Oh. I was like, what are you talking about? And we're running the comp cars this weekend too. Royce Lee's driving a comp car. Bo Butner's driving my clutch car that Lee Sharp owns. Lyle Barnett's driving our Pro Mod car. So we've got a lot going on this weekend.
Yeah, and he just dropped a big sponsor, a new sponsorship deal with Motion Raceworks, Doug over there. You know, Lyle's done so much and had such a great, you know, he has a track record of stuff with beer money and everything else he's doing. So, I mean, the elite team is very strong. You guys got a lot going on. And the rivalry that we continue to talk about every race weekend is it going to be an elite car or a KB car? But you guys have the field pretty on lock over there with the red crew.
We definitely do. I have a tremendous team. I think that we've grown to 38 of us. So there's a lot of people at all times. And you know, we have like 20 hotel rooms. And I'm just so fortunate. I wished my entire career for a group like I have right now. You know, with Mark Ingersoll at the helm and Tim Freeman, Mike DePalma, a couple other guys that are helping. And of course, my road dog, Chase Freeman. I got Dave Hollywood Howard on my car. So I went from a one-man wrecking crew to a two-man wrecking crew. And we just do the best that we can. You know, I've had a couple of off weekends the last couple weeks, and I am determined to get back to our normal form.
So Sam alluded to the burn down with Bruno, and
I did not.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did.
Your imagination just took you there.
Well,
See?
fine.
So
I'm riding the imagination then. Fine, so be it. Well, for you as a competitor in pro stock, do those moments, do y'all sense those moments are healthy for the class, or do y'all sense that they're not healthy for the class? I mean, like, here we are, we're what, 3 weeks removed from that? We're still alluding to it. We're still talking about it. Not a fuel car, but 2 pro stockers on the line that didn't get the run. So are those moments understood, even though your competitors, hey, this might very well be good for the sport?
I think it's great for our class and great for our sport. Look, regardless of your opinion of it, it's being talked about. So, you know, standing up there behind Bruno's car because he's my teammate, you know, just watching and knowing what it's like being in the cockpit in one of those things and what goes through your mind. But, you know, the starter, having told them a couple of times to go in was definitely interesting. But what people might not understand is when you're pre-staged, your foot is on the clutch pedal in the car. I mean, unless you're willing to risk putting it back in neutral and having the guy go in and then, oh crap, you got to get it back in gear. Make sure that you're in gear rolling. Set your line lock for your brake pressure. So 9 times out of 10, you're in gear with your foot on the clutch and your line lock set and your hands on the shifter, holding it in first gear. And on a good day, like when it's as warm as it was in Topeka, we go up there as cool as we possibly can, engine temperature wise. But by the time we fire, we're probably around 70 degrees. In a normal staging situation, you're probably approaching 100 to 110 degrees. So your clutch is hot, your motor's hot, you're running out of fuel, your legs on the clutch pedal. So there's just a lot that goes into that people don't consider. But I think it was great for our class, for our sport. And again, people are talking about it. So there you go.
Hey, I'm all for it on all accounts. I love the 2 competitors doing what they did. I love the starter doing what he did. I love it all around. I think it's great. We need more of it. I mean, little Buster-ism by the starter there. I love it. I love it. We just need you and Greg to do it.
Ooh.
I don't think you'll catch me and Greg doing that. a little bit, I don't know. We got a little bit more on the line than those 2 did at that moment.
But like you said, everyone was talking about it. Everyone continues to talk about it. And I'm going to use a West Buckism right here. It drove the needle forward for the class of pro stock as everyone continues to say, oh, pro stock is this, pro stock is that. but what did we talk about for a week straight? You know, you had people going to work, sitting at the coffee table, like, hey, man, those two, they were up on the line for I don't know how long, and the guy was doing this. And, you know, everyone became a star after that. And thanks again to my insider friend, Lee. We got a picture we need to put up here. So there it is.
Look at that.
So here's that picture that you were talking about at the top end. So, I mean, yes, thank you again, Courtney, for sending that in there. But
it's so cute.
We'll put it up again.
6. We were a little bitty. But she's always by my side. She's the best person ever in the history of the world.
So, hey, look, Lee, she's been wearing the glasses since back then, too, and she still sports, you know, kind of that same style. So, I mean, is that your go-to, Erica? You know, I see him on your head right there, too. So
I came from work and running errands and stuff, so I guess it's not light outside anymore, but I'm channeling my inner Lee. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, shades are always called for, no matter where you are at, especially when the Monday morning racers.
Oh, there you go. Look at that.
Yeah, there we go. There we go.
Boom.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, when you have to take pictures and you just wear sunglasses, that way they never know if you blinked and messed up the picture.
Hey,
that's a lot why I'm behind the camera.
And like that movie Big Daddy, you know, when you put the sunglasses on, you become invisible. And I feel like that at the racetrack sometimes. They say I have RDF, but I'm like, there's so much going on in here, you don't even want to know.
There you go. There you go. I have found with me, when I take the shades off, I become invisible. Like nobody knows who the Monday Morning Racer is then at that point. But with the shades on, it's like, hey, there's that guy.
That's your trademark.
That's it. That's it.
Well, Erica, we know you are getting ready for the big go and everything. So 2 final things for you. One, if there's a fan out there that's listening, that's close to the area, that hasn't bought their tickets yet or is wondering, should I go or should I stop and do this? What should I do? Tell them in your best words why they need to be in Indy.
It's the biggest, baddest drag race all year long, the Super Bowl of NHRA. And I don't know what else better to do this weekend than to come out to the U.S. Nationals. You can go out on your boat on Monday because we're not racing on Monday. So get your butt to the drag races. It'll be a great weekend, and you will not be disappointed.
Yes.
There you go. Yes. I like that. The Super Bowl of drag racing
on Monday. Yes. Yes. Or
I'm just saying.
Or if you have good enough signal, take the boat out and put the TV on the boat and enjoy the U.S. Nationals on FS1 and Big Fox for the eliminations on the lake. There you go. There you go. If you can't be there, but if you're in the region, you need to be there because Erica Ender said so.
I said so.
Boom.
You could be the first person to listen to me.
So I'm going to put you on the spot here. Go ahead, Lee, and then I'll wrap up.
Go ahead,
go
Sam.
ahead.
You go ahead. You go ahead. This happens sometimes, Erica. Sorry.
Since you alluded to movie quotes, if you could put what Erica Enders is going to do on the track this weekend to all of her competitors, what movie quote would refer to that?
Oh, come on. I don't know.
You started it.
Highway to the Danger Zone. Does that count? Right. It's a song. I don't know.
We'll let it slide.
Hopefully it's not Save Me Tom Cruise, I'm on fire.
No, that's going to be Sam this weekend in the hobby stock car after he rolls it like 5 times. I can see it now. Save me Tom Cruise. Ah!
No, I'm more like a nutty professor, you know. Help me, please.
Oh, Lord.
There will be a video of that coming out soon, too. So
hey, I'm glad of that. So, Erica, look, my last question for you, a bit more on the serious side of things. Someone's got to keep those tones on this show. For you, so far this year, a lot of young bucks out there in the pro stock ranks, and you're young yourself, even though some might not think that way. It's like you're still there. What competitor has surprised you overall, positively and negatively? Like, who's having a great season that you're like, wow, I kind of wasn't expecting that, and who's like, ooh, why are they way back there?
I'm going to go with my teammate, Aaron Stanfield. I feel like he's really finding his groove in the race car. They're getting a handle on that car. TJ as well. They've struggled with that yellow Camaro to the point where we talked about switching race cars, and then he came out swinging the last two events that we were at. So I definitely think that they're coming into their own. This is not the first race car that they've driven, but what a huge blessing to be able to climb in a pro stock car and run at the top and win races and have opportunities to be the fastest car at the track every single weekend. That's a huge blessing to have at the beginning stages of your pro stock career. So I'm thrilled for them and also very proud of them both.
Boom. There it is.
Well, Erica, you know what? We're going to put you on the spot one last time.
Oh, boy.
We want your picks for this weekend. So, for Top Fuel, who do you think is going to take home the Wally?
I'm going with my Texas homie, Steve Torrance.
Sam, you should have known that. You should have known that.
I know. So being a Texan, from bloodline, I just, I knew they were going to stick together. Sorry.
I get it. Hey, mom was born in Palestine, and hey, Texas, they stay, man.
That's why me and E get along so good. Funny car, who do you got?
Ooh, you can't ever count out Force, right? He's solid. He's running well. Alexis has been running a lot better, and she's won the U.S. Nationals before. So her and I, text occasionally and talk about being able to win together again. We did it in Vegas, and I'm gonna go with my girl.
All right, there we go.
They definitely have been a team where it's like, why haven't they won yet? And they have ran so well, and they've just had some, little stupid gremlins get in the way on a couple occasions. But yeah, she's overdue. Definitely overdue.
They'll win. Yep, they'll win this year.
All right, and you got pro stock motorcycle. I know who she's gonna pick, but we just might as well add.
Well, Matt and Angie are our teammates. I think Matt's got a tremendous bike right now, and I'll go with him. But I want Angie to win because she's been dealing with some rough stuff lately, and our prayers are with her and her family. And her dad's battling cancer again, but she rises to the occasion. I was able to win with her in Las Vegas when we won our 4th championship. She ran right in front of me, and I cannot tell you how excited I was for her inside the car. And then I had to calm myself back down to be able to run my race. But I would love to see her win. But one of the Smiths will stick it in the winner's circle.
I like that. And then Pro Mod.
Pro Mod. Geez, those Pro Line guys are really running at the top. I love Belushi. He's a dear friend of mine. I hope he's able to get it done. You can't take from Jose. He's been crushing it, having a really, really fast car, and he's a really good driver. So it'll probably be Jose.
Okay. And
picks there,
I don't
Sam.
think we.
I
don't think we missed it.
We'll see.
I don't think I missed a class there, did I?
No. I think
No.
she knows who's going to win in pro stock.
Oh yeah, pro stock. Sorry, didn't.
Can you go for yourself?
Kind of forgot about that. I mean, you can, but if you do, you give up a couple of points there. So
I do?
it's like taking your Yeah, it's like taking a mulligan in golf.
Full disclosure, he's making these rules up on the fly. I'd never heard of them, so.
Yeah, no, you can definitely pick yourself there. So I'll just pencil that one in.
My money's on us.
There you go.
Sam.
Well,
we need to let her go.
Yeah, I'm done now. I've got all
done?
I'm done.
All right. Erica Enders, 4-time NHRA Pro Stock champion, defending U.S. Nationals championing, looking to do it again. Thank you for being on the Competition Plus Power Hour once again. I expect a slice of cake.
And she's going to drive that thing back. Yeah. Because she's going to drive that bitch back.
And I fully plan on driving that bitch back.
Damn good show.
Thank you, Erica.
Thank you.
Lee, man, we didn't have to do anything in the first part of this show. Like,
no, I just moved the mouse and hit buttons. That's all I did. Those old guys just talked.
I'm gonna get the Hodge twins to say, "Drive that bitch back." Yeah, I'm gonna send it to them. I'm gonna get them. Erica's gonna win this weekend. They're gonna do it. It's gonna be amazing. I mean, just to think about this. We are in a time right now where people left and rightly are saying, oh, NHRA is dead. We've had the conversation of what does NHRA need to do? What do we do for the class of pro stock? What do we do for this? What do we do for that? Everyone is, excuse me, Bobby, for saying is bitching because we didn't have full fields. Now we do. So what are you can't bitch anymore. You have no reason not to be there. You got what you wanted. This is what everyone's saying. Give us full fields. Why aren't that many cars there with the travel, this and this? So now you got the East versus the West, right? This is kind of what Indy is. It's like it's the East versus the West. It's everyone battling everyone. Everyone's here. So if you're not there, what is your reason? If you're a fan, if you're a so-called fan and you want to talk about all this, why aren't you there? Top Fuel 173 says it. They said it in 2019. NHRA was dead. It was done. It was toast. It was burnt. No more butter. But look at it. It's 21. We're still doing it. We're doing it bigger than ever. Brian Lone said it. They're doing it like a golf thing. They're pulling out all the punches. They got Tobler coming in. He's going to be saying stuff, what's on his mind. Like, it's happening right here, right now, in front of your eyes. And if you're going to continue to complain and not be in the stands, and you're going to say, well, the stands look empty from what I saw on TV or YouTube video, but you weren't there. So if you're not there, don't complain. Okay.
I agree with you, Sam. It fascinates me when you have someone chime in on this show, for example, or in the comment section of Competition Plus on Facebook, and they state something to the effect, I haven't been to a national event in 10 years. By the way, NHRA sucks. Like, what? How do you know?
That's like the person that was like, from what I saw on TV from aerial view, Brainerd was empty. I was there. It wasn't empty. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be at Indy. I'm on the outside looking in. You know, I've been to Indy for PRI, for a football game. Have I been for the race? No. Would I love to be there? Hell yeah. Why? Because it's the big go. It's what college football and the Rose Bowl is. It's the granddaddy of them all. Steve Torrance said it in Outlaw Performance ENT. Go over there and hit subscribe and like. I'm going to be dropping it. Steve Torrance said it's the Wyoming of rodeo. You know what I mean? It's just like that. It's the Super Bowl to drag racing. People have compared it to, you know, the Talladega of NASCAR. Like, it means just so much. It's the World Series. It's all these different things put into one for us. So if you can make it for John Force, because he said it, he's the one that initially started this whole pack the place, pack the track.
Right.
If John Force is telling you to be there, could there be an announcement?
Yes.
Everyone's wondering.
John Force is calling the fans to the U.S. Nationals in 2021. Man, look, I really expect after COVID, and there was a decent crowd there last year, even with the restrictions, I'm expecting this year to be a year that goes down in the record books for fan participation and attendance. It would not shock me that place is slamming Sam.
There you go. I mean, dude, I'm telling you right now, and I'm going to say it. If there's still a possible way for me to get there, I'll race Friday night and show up Saturday.
Do it.
You know, I'm supposed to race Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but if there's someone out there that wants to help your brother get down there, I'm just saying. But that's how important it is. Like, you know, and you talked about it, Lee, from someone who's in the media industry. It's that moment where you finally are like, you know what? I made it. It means so much more.
It does.
You know, I don't know. I mean, I could go on and talk about it, but like I said, what another great episode, a huge episode of just having something different, right? A round table with Alan Reinhart coming on here. Hopefully he was totally joking about this would be his only time coming on the show. But, you know, having them on here and talking about what it means. And I think we should do that exactly. Tom and I have talked about it. We're trying to pack the place. Like, this is the event where you want the fire marshal to be like, hey, you guys can't let anyone else in.
Right.
Like, no, we want people in hot air balloons, like blimps, whatever you have out there that you can, you know, be there, period.
Like, you know what I want to see? I want to see people parking their cars at the back wall, the back gate of the property and trying to stand on their cars to look over and see down the drag strip because general admission has been sold out. Because people attempt to do that, just get a glimpse of the cars like they're out of, like, you know, like kids would do looking over the outfield wall of a baseball stadium or something, or being in a tree. No, they do that. I want to see that. That needs to happen. I hope it's that great of an event. Man, look, what about your picks?
My picks? I don't even have your picks, but I'll let you know on my picks. Mike Ashley has said it. I believe in what he said. I need to write those down. I will write those down, Lee. But Mike Ashley has said it in the pits. We talked about it there in Brainerd, how much it would mean to him to see Justin do it. I'm on the bandwagon. Say what you want. You know, I mean, I love my boy AB, Steve Torrent. But I'm going with Justin. In Funny Car, I've got mixed emotions again, but I'm gonna say it just like Erica has said it. I think Alexis is gonna come out with the win there. Dale Worsham is doing some great things there, and it's time. You know, it's long overdue. Pro stock motorcycle, I got Angie. Battling adversity, battling what's going on with her family, and just everything else on the track. I think right now she has that momentum and that fighter's edge that's going to push her a little bit more. This isn't just a big win for Indy, for her to write her name in the history books. It means more. It's for family. So I strongly I'm holding on to that one. Now we go to Pro Mod. Erica said it. My picks were already in. Jose is looking phenomenal. I mean, Pro Line is looking great. I mean, it's kind of just like saying, you know, who's coming in second, like we do in PDRA, right? Like,
yeah, with Jim Halsey and
but
Pro Nitrous,
yeah.
right?
I mean, honestly, it is. But I'm going to pick kind of an underdog, but I've got two winners right here. If we're going to have a tie, I know we can't have a tie, but my picks are two smaller names right now. I wouldn't say smaller names, but, you know, I have Doug Winters and Lyle Barnett. I can't pick a winner. I'm going to say that's our final round. And I think that'll be huge for the sport, too. You know, Doug Winters down in Brainerd changing motors and going through everything he's done. I think it's time for him to, you know, solidify this. And maybe this is a chance for him to do it on the big stage and maybe gain another sponsorship or something. Lyle Barnett, the guy is hungry. You've seen what he's done in no prep. You've seen what he's done in prep. So, I mean, there's just so much going on there. But those are my two. That's your final round there in Pro Mod. Lyle Barnett versus Doug Winters.
All right.
Who do you got?
Pro Stock Motorcycle. I will go with I think it's defending champion, Scotty Polachek. I will go with Scotty to win. I think it will be the right time. I think he needs it. I think he is definitely capable of it as a rider, and he's obviously on a capable bike to get it done. Pro Stock. As much as I love Miss America Enders,
you're going to do this after we had her on she's never coming on again if you do this.
Maybe. I really think the feel-good story of Pro Stock, of the tireless worker now behind the wheel and having success, will continue and have, in essence, a capstone moment being a win at the U.S. Nationals. I'm saying Dallas Glenn.
That's huge.
I'm saying Dallas Glenn. Top Fuel. I'm going to swing for the fence in Top Fuel. Doug Coletta. They have, I think, something the last 2-3 years, it seems like, for Indy. I think they will have some type of performance turnaround, and we'll talk about it being a shocking moment. And you notice I left Funny Car for last, and well, except for Pro Mod. Pro Mod, let's go with Justin Bond. He's going to turn it around after hitting the wall. He's going to turn it around. Funny Car.
Dun, dun,
to quote Mike Joy concerning the late, great Dale Earnhardt winning the Daytona 500, 20 years of trying, 20 years of frustration. I think Ron Capps finally does it.
Speaking of Ron Capps.
I'm going to tell you why. Because
that video of him and Antron Brown
last year. No, he did win last year at Indy. So that monkey is off his back. He can win at Indy, a national event. I think he gets the big go this year, and he's basically done it all in Funny Car and just needs to pad those win stats from there.
That is a solid round of picks. And, you know, like I said, in this interview with Steve Torrance that I have, he says it. If it's etching your name in history. Like, you can win them all, you know, and for him, he's now won at every facility, but there's something sweet, you know, about winning in Indy. So I just think it's huge. You know, it's like going to the Apollo and rubbing the wood in the Apollo, or who is it? I think it's Clemson. Before they come down, you know, when they come out, or
it's called Howard's Rock.
Yeah.
You touch the rock, you run down the hill.
Yeah, whatever.
Well, they're not my top team, hook 'em, but I did live in the upstate of South Carolina, and Clemson's actually 15 minutes up the road from my home in South Carolina, so you know the history and the lore for sure. Look, man, we still got about 15 minutes before 11. Let's take it to 11. Let's talk a little bit beyond NHRA, U.S. Nationals.
You want to talk? Hold on. Wait a minute. Ladies and gentlemen, we are now turning the show to the nitty-gritty, the late night special. You want to talk a little controversy, a little dirt, a little no prep, a little, oh my God, what is going on in the world of drag racing? Oh my God, did you accidentally give up your win? Oh my goodness, what in the... Don't you ever say something like that. Say you're broke, brother. Okay, for you guys that don't know, that are out there in this world, if you're not paying attention to No Prep Kings, then you're not really you're not really a race fan. I can honestly say that. And so what happened this past weekend is a certain group of people that may live in a state that was hit by an unfortunate event, a hurricane in New Orleans, kind of played a sneaky role in helping their partners maybe gain a couple of points, controversy thoughts, conspiracy thoughts. So, No Prep Kings 2 were racing. He goes down to the top end. Obviously, Kai Kelly was sleeping at the light. He got beat. And his compadre drives purposely past the weigh station, which is a big no-no, and says, oh, we had an agreement on a drag race. It's kind of like what Will Smith and his wife had. You can't be in an entanglement while you're drag racing. So does that lead the point to, is this really set up and is this fake? Is the question I've been asked this week.
Man, we're coming off of a week of Stevie Fast Jackson and the Swan Man having some interesting videos going back and forth, lighthearted, yet some essence of truth to them. And one of the points that Stevie is made, like, well, it's a TV show. And remember that, folks. He's like, remember, folks, it is first a TV show. Kind of alluding to it's rigged.
It's a hoax.
It's a sham. There's no actual competition. And they did not do themselves any favors for that argument this past weekend whatsoever. And I'm a fan of it. It doesn't. And it makes it hard for a guy like me, that has stuck the bat sometimes, and stuck his neck out there. I'm like, hey, yes, this is a TV show, but these guys are really racing. It's hard to defend when you see that. Now, on the other hand, playing the radio lover that I am and the no prep, fan that I am, knowing some of these people personally, talking through simple text message with Mike Murillo and things like this. It is a game. It is a TV show, but do you want to help out your friends? Yes, you do, but it stirs that conversation. I had a friend that was actually there from the Virginia area that was like, man, he called me right away. Man, did you see this BS? And I'm like, unfortunately, I saw it. Does it happen? Probably. More than what we expect, of course. But if you're going to play the game like that, you can't just put your cards out there and make it obvious. Because there you go. You're opening up the doors for exactly what Stevie said. It's a TV show. It's, right. Right.
You open the door for Donald Long to get on and say what he wants to say. But you have to remember, Lee, at the end of this, what has No Prep Kings, Street Outlaws, and all this done for the sport of drag racing? It's helped it grow. Whether you like it, whether you disagree with it, whether you absolutely hate it and never want to see it on TV again, guess what? It's on TV. You can be a hater of it, but it's driven more younger kids to the sport, and that's what we're trying to do. You want to say the motorsports is dead? Well, absolutely not, because look what we have on TV. Now, how do we, in a platform like this, talking mostly NHRA, How do we grab hold of that and say, hey, let us have some of your shine on your TV? Maybe you have your guy like Stevie Fast Jackson who can go back and forth and talk the smack and walk the walk. You need that. Yes, you guys may think that these people are at each other's throats and they hate each other. No, they don't. It's all fun and game. But what we need is more controversy, and it continues to stir the pot. And the nitro engines and the ProCharge engines and the turbo, it spools all of this together, and we're still talking drag racing and motorsports throughout the week.
That's right. And, to that point, I think in racing, in drag racing in particular, people have got to understand who they can be and who they are and play that to the T. And what I mean by that is if you can pull off being the black hat, the heel out there, please do. If you're going to be the baby face out there, then be the baby face. Know who you are and be that. Like John's going to be John, and he doesn't apologize for it. Stevie's going to be Stevie, and he doesn't apologize for it. But it's great content. Great content. But I think stop the corporate, find your personality. Everybody doesn't need to be John. Everybody doesn't need to be Stevie, but find your personality and be genuine. Don't just be a spokesperson.
I 100% agree. And the way to do that is the way that Big Chief said it years ago. If you ain't street, don't try and be street. Be who you are. Lee, you are who you are. Lee is the Monday morning racer. Most people know him and see him as that. Lee wears the glasses. That's what you see. I'm Slammin' Sam. I wear my hat backwards. I have a certain personality, swag, whatever you want to call it, about me. But that is who we are. And if you continue to go down the trajectory of it and who these racers are, people like Erica because of who she is and what she's done on the track. People gravitate towards John because he's high energy, he's shy strong, he does what he does. Like you said, you have every media person, Farm Truck and Asian, they're right here. They have theirs. I got Chief right there. I mean, people watch Wes Buck's show because of who he is. People watch Joe Costella's show because of what he's got going on. People tune in to listen to Alan Reinhart because of his voice and his knowledge in, the umpteen years that Brian Loans was -19, that Alan was doing this. I mean, that's what it's about. At the end of the day, don't try and fake it. I don't like that, and I'm going to say it straightforwardly. What happened, I don't agree with helping your teammate out. I get it, the points, or you want to bring the win. If you were broke, just say you were broke. You know what I mean? I know you don't want to give it away that way and give someone a final, but it's just not good publicity for an already very, very touchy subject.
I am not a fan of, from what I have been able to deduce, you have one driver guessed a green flash and got it just right. One, I don't see that as anything to be disqualified over. And then purposely passes the scales, which throws out your run. That's anywhere in the world of drag racing under any type of rules or bodies. So I don't mind. I think we have to be careful, and you got to either take a hard line on team orders, period, or you got to realize that in this case, like the guessing of the light and this agreement, and I don't agree with the guessing of a flash. I don't like, really? He played the tree just right. Like, that's your job, isn't it, as a driver?
But Lee, if you want to talk about this controversy of the light and the tree, look what happened a couple of years ago with Kai Kelly. They were on a track with the tree, and it was a big controversy. The light showed green, but the tire moved, the back tire crinkled, and they said he red lit. But there was no red light. The light was actually green on the track. They went up to the timing stuff, and supposedly somehow he left. I think it was .0 something red, and it's like there's no way. We all saw green. They just need to figure it out. At the end of the day,
Sam,
if you're out there and you're racing for that amount of money, figure it out. Race the goddamn race. If you lose, you lose, and if you win, you win. Period.
Look,
That's what we want to see.
I think it is silly to do this, the back cracked thing, and trying to go off of that. I love no prep drag racing, but that is one element of it. I'm just like, guys, we figured this out decades ago through the light system of that we don't have these arguments. And you've kind of went back 60 years in drag racing history. I love
going
no
back
prep.
to the roots.
I have filmed no prep racing. I love it, especially the back of the track stuff. I absolutely love it. But I'm just, when it comes to the light situation, I'm like, what y'all went back to the caveman days. Yeah. Now, on team orders, Sam, we see team orders heavily in F1. It would be most well known there. It's rumored in NASCAR, but there are some historical precedents, and you could go look at the data that there has been teammates in drag racing that have definitely been able to do well by routinely coming up against their teammate in drag racing. Tony Peshcon.
Hey, man.
John Force.
Hey, this brings up a question right here. Boom.
Well,
What?
I will say this. You need to know how to hide it a lot better than what they did in the no prep teams.
Dude, a little bit better. There was no hiding that.
I know. That's just it. Look, you can set that car up to smoke the tires half track just so. I'm just saying.
Hey, supposedly America's Got Talent. This is talent right here. The Monday Morning Racer and Slam and Sam myself. If you need to go and watch anything else tonight, I'm sorry. That's a TV show. It was recorded. They edited it to make it look so good for you. Unless it's a live version, but we're live. We give it to you straight off the top of our dome. And if you need to go and watch that. But someone said it. Discovery Channel is entertainment. NHRA is entertainment.
All entertainment. It is.
It's all entertainment.
Baseball game, entertainment. Football game, entertainment. If you enjoy pig racing, that's entertainment.
Some people just get paid a whole lot more to do entertainment than others.
That's right. Man,
and at the end of it,
I just feel like they did not help themselves at all on the argument of rigged. And I'm not even saying rigged. It is real racing. I get that. They're going down a track. Was it planned for Lizzie to wreck? No, they didn't want that to happen. But they did not help themselves in this situation on outcomes. They did not. They certainly didn't.
No, definitely didn't. But, Lee, at the end of it, hey, it happened. There was money won. There was a entertainment factor and a production put on for the fans that were there, and they'll come and support again. The show, in the great movie quote, the show must go on. So, I don't know, Lee, so much to talk about, so much important stuff, but at the end of it, the reason why we're here, the reason why we're talking about this show, the reason why Brian Lones, Alan Reinhardt, Bobby Bennett, and the 4-time champion, Miss Double E, Miss Drive That Back, Erica Anders, why she was all on the show is because it's time for the big go.
Time for the big go. I'm going to be there, Sam. No between the slicks this week. I'm going to take a, I think, well-deserved break and just focus on getting up the road to the U.S. Nationals. So, folks, if you're going to be at the U.S. Nationals, would love to talk to you, would love to meet you. And if you find me the right place, maybe we can get you behind the rope even as well. Be looking for the shades. Sam, as always, good to be on the show. What a great show we had. Thank you to each and every one that chimed in and did watch. Shut her down, man.
And that is the Monday Morning Racer, Lee Craft. Please go over to Monday Morning Racer on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and on YouTube. Hit the subscribe button if you can and if you have not already. I am Slammin' Sam. Unfortunately, I will not be at Indy unless one of you out there gets me there. But I will be driving a hobby stock car, IMCA, here in Minot, North Dakota. The 3 days of racing at the Playground of Power. That is a Nodak Speedway. So please stay tuned to a video of that. And you guys can always find me under Outlaw Performance ENT, or you can check me out on Twitter, and a personal page of Slammin' Sam shows you kind of behind the scenes of what I'm doing as I get prepared for the show. If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, want to send an email to Jefferin, our pit insider, myself, or to Bobby Bennett, that is powerhourcp@gmail.com. Again, thank you guys. Pack Indy. If you don't do it for John Force, do it for us here on the Power Hour. And we hope to talk to you soon, as long as God is willing. This is another episode of the Competition Plus Power Hour. Signing out. Peace.